Let's do that. I'm going to just hit the record and we're going to just start talking. Let's see where this goes. All right, here we go, man. I'm hitting record. All right, we're on, man. Benny, good to have you on today, brother.
Man, thank you for having me, man. It's great to finally get to chat with you after all the long wait, man.
Yeah, I know you're a busy man. You've got a lot going on. You've kind of got that trifecta of being a musician, an entrepreneur, and a six-figure business owner. Like, I've got so much to ask you because you're relatively young and you've got a lot of experience for your years on this earth, and I'm looking forward to just kind of just digging in, man, and seeing what's going on. So, what are you into right now? Tell us a little something about Benny D. What's your hot item right now?
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, what you just said pretty much is making a lot of music in 2024, right? That's my hobby that I love to do so much. Building up this business to seven figures, which is another thing that I love to do, and systemizing it, right? So that I'm trading value for money instead of trading my own, physical labor for money. And then just continuing to create content and influence other people to do the same so that they can be their best selves. That's on the agenda for 2024. A whole lot of love.
Oh man, that's beautiful. And if you don't mind me asking, how old are you, man?
I'm 26 years old.
26. And how long have you been at this?
Oh, that's a great question. I've been doing entrepreneur. I started doing music at 18, like officially in the studio recording. I've been writing music since I was 7, and I would consider that like the entrepreneurial venture for me because I didn't know that there were other routes. Like I, where I grew up, it was like you either sell drugs, play basketball, or make music. That's what an entrepreneur is, right? So I'm like, oh, I'm terrible at selling drugs. I'm 5'9.5", so I'm definitely not going to the NBA. But I can speak pretty well, so why don't I make some music? So that's just like how the entrepreneur started for me.
That is cool. When you like growing up, so you started writing music at 7 years old.
Dude, I was writing poems. Like I started as I started with poems as a kid because you don't even really know what it is. But it was just like, oh, I had these emotions and these thoughts, and I would just kind of jot them out, and they would just rhyme. And I had my little pocketbook, and I'd write them out.
Like, what inspired you, man, at that young of an age? What got you motivated to want to do that?
My father made music, and of course, I looked up to my dad. So I'm like, oh, I want to do everything my dad does. And then I loved having deep conversations that I couldn't really have with people around me. So I would just kind of have them with myself through music.
Ah, so it was like your outlet.
Absolutely my outlet. Yeah, it was 100%. It was the way I analyzed and processed things. Like and going back and listening and reading old poems and old songs, it's like half of the music I'm speaking to myself from a third person perspective. It's very, very interesting.
Wow. I always love that. That reminds me. I mean, I've always been a big fan of Eminem because, like when I think about him, he's, growing up and he's able to, like, that was kind of his outlet. And I know his lyrics and stuff are always controversial. But man, there's one thing you can't ever deny is that like everything he says in his lyrics are they're straight from authenticity of like what he went through and what he feels.
Yeah.
And it reminds me like of the power of being able to put that out there and have an outlet for sort of your alter ego, like he would put it. Do you feel like that? Do you feel like there was like an alter ego there?
Perhaps, right? Because when you're making music, you have to step into your stage. You have to step into your own superhero. So I feel like when you're making music or when you're doing anything, front facing, you kind of just have to embrace or act like the person that you want to be, and then eventually you're like, oh my gosh, I'm him. So I was super anxious as a kid. I was really scared of speaking and very introverted, but when I loved music so much that I was like, screw it, I'm gonna do it anyway and just like smile and act like I'm happy. And then, a couple of years later, you go, oh my gosh, I'm actually happy and I'm actually confident. I'm actually really good at speaking out loud. So if you just fake it till you make it in that sense, it really kind of works.
So, did you have a lot of friends that around that age when you were going through all this? And if so, what did they think about this?
That's a really good question. So I'll just skip when I was 18. That's when I really started going to the studio. It was also when I was being a follower most of the time, even though I knew I was supposed to be leading. So when I was making music, it was nice because I was finally being a leader and doing what I needed to do. They supported, but they weren't on that path, right? It was very difficult for me to be in an environment where I knew that 90% of the people were going to end up dead in jail or working dead end jobs, while I had the realization that I was going to be successful from a very, very young age. So I guess the short answer is no, they weren't really on that.
Mm. Did that make it more difficult for you? 'Cause I can only imagine that's got to be pretty rough, like being the only one that's sort of a fan of yourself.
It was like predicted survivor's guilt, right? Because I wasn't there yet. I was surviving along the rest of them. But then I knew I was going to survive. I just knew in my head from a young age, I'm going to succeed. There's nothing that's going to keep me from succeeding. And for that reason, I felt guilty at that age where I'm like, well, now I'm going to be alone. I'm going to succeed and then I'm going to have no friends because all my friends are going to stay down here. So I honestly just like was such a baby for a couple years and just followed people that I shouldn't follow. Instead of leading people out, I followed people into the depths of despair.
Oh man, that's pretty deep. Did your what was your family environment like? I mean, you have any siblings?
Yeah, I got three sisters.
Ah, okay. Did they were they did you get support from family and how was that?
Um, my mom supported me. My mom is my biggest fan. So when I started going to the studio, I didn't have a car, and my mom would drive me to the studio, and one of my friends would drive me home. So my mom was definitely, she understood that this was going to keep me alive. Like this was a good outlet for me. So she kept me in that space. And Pops was working most of the time, but he definitely, he supported me. But my mom was like my number one. And then my sisters, they were all doing their own thing, younger and older in school. So I would go to school, go right to work. I'd work as a lifeguard, and then if I had time, I would get over to the studio. So as soon as I was old enough to be out of the house, I was out of the house as much as possible.
And so it sounds like you had an internal drive, which was supported by your family, and you weren't as much, I guess, consumed by your peers and in the interactions and influence that they had on you. Is that something like that you saw in yourself, like growing up? I mean, did you see that you were a little different?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I knew I was different from a very young age, and I'll be honest, I was conscious from a very young age, right? Because there's levels of consciousness, but I wasn't strong enough to do anything with the consciousness. I was just conscious enough to know that I didn't want to be conscious, and I would spend most of my days running away from it and trying to hide from the responsibility of being conscious.
Oh wow! So you were a little too mature for your own good.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty wild, man. Golly, what is it? If you were to look back on your years on this earth, what is it that you don't want people to know about you?
um, well, I'm working on that. That's a really good question because I'm trying to share the most traumatic parts of my life. I mean, if I were just being revealing, it's like I had insane anxiety as a kid, and I couldn't even get to school because I was so anxious and I was so depressed. I mean, and I would be rude to other people. I think one of the things I don't want people to know about me is that I have a dark side that is super dangerous. It's like I want to take over the world. I want to do everything that I can to succeed, and that might not look pretty in conversation sometimes. So my aggressiveness is something that I definitely stifle in order to get along with everybody. Because most of the time I talk to people and I go, what the heck are you doing? Let's freaking go. Y'all aren't taking this seriously enough. And so I don't want people to know that I look at a lot of people and I go, you aren't working as hard as you should be. You have way more potential. It doesn't need to be this hard. Come on, buddy. That's probably my most like, oh, I don't want people to know that.
Oh, that's interesting. I just saw a quote on Instagram that highly successful people do not like being around mediocre people. And it makes I mean, you could label people. Obviously everybody's in different phases of their life, but it does ring true when you're ready to put that gas pedal down, man. You want people around you that are ready to just go as fast.
And going off that, right, the reason for that for me personally is because I was mediocre for so long. I was mediocre, so I know what it feels like to be mediocre, and also have that inkling in your head of like, but what if? What if I really like risked it? What if I really put effort into this? What if I really tried? Oh no, I'm just gonna stay in my lane. And so now that I've gotten out of that lane, I never want to be around and never want to go back to being mediocre, because I feel like that's more of a torture than trying and failing.
Yeah. If we go back, like you talked about at 18, you start doing the recording like as more of a serious piece, and now you're 26. I mean, this is less than 10 years, and you've built up quite a bit of success. How did you make those steps? I mean, so you started off in just as a musician.
Yep, started off as a musician, and just was very, very consistent. I would work, and then I would just write a song or two or three every single day. I would go to the studio once a week, at least twice a week if I could afford it. And I was just dedicated. Like that was my life. It was music as much as possible.
So you obviously have a gift in music and the way that you're able to communicate. Did you get that from within yourself, or did somebody along the way, did you have people that actually provided feedback for you that this is something that you need to start really investing in?
I was definitely a natural with music. That's one of the ways that God speaks through me, I believe. I used to think that it was me, and now I realize that is one of the ways that I conversate with God. Like I said, when I have the third person perspectives, I really feel like most of my music is just a conversation between myself and God. So I believe that was a gift that he gave me to get through and dissect the thoughts that I've had since a young kid.
Is there a particular song that hits you in the heart, like that more so than any other one that you've ever written?
Oh, there's a couple. There's a couple for every point in my life. There was one when I was 18, and it was called Madness. And I was literally having a conversation with God, and I was really upset, and I told him, I miss you, but I think that it's good we're apart for a bit too. And that bar comes back to me so much, because it was literally a point where I felt like I was leaving God to embrace all the tomfoolery that comes with music, the drugs, the girls, the fame, the all that bad stuff. I was like, listen, I miss you, but I think it's good we're apart for a bit too. And that line gets me. It definitely gets me.
Man, I got to go listen to that song. I love that. I mean, this is so cool because, I think about music. I'm a big fan. I mean, I've had music on all my whole life. I've just music has been a big part of my life, and I'm not a musician, but my point being is that I feel like music can speak to us at such a better and higher consciousness rate than words. There's just something about it. And when you talk about you having a conversation with God, man, it just resonates pretty hard, because that's pretty special. So it sounds like you're never going to want to get rid of that. You go in from being kind of a musician, honing your skills, to becoming an entrepreneur. Where do you go from, how do you go from that, from being a musician to just saying, you know what, I think I might jump into, trying to be an entrepreneur?
You know what, Charlie? I was broke as a joke, brother. And I was working as a waiter with all of my friends, and we would make music all night. That's when we were about like 20 years old, and I moved out. I would make money as a waiter all day, and then we'd make music all night. And we did that for like 3 years, and we were broke, and it sucked. And I said, man, I need to make some money. I need to make some money. And when COVID hit, I was working as a waiter, and my friends all moved. One of my friends went to Miami, another went to New York. We all just kind of went on our own separate journeys. We were all making music together. And I said, I'm going to figure out how to make some freaking money. So I took the $8,000 that I had left to my name, and I started researching, and I started investing in different cryptos and stocks and NFTs, and I was making a couple bucks from that. And then I started investing in courses. I got online and I was like, okay, well, what if I learn how to code? And I tried coding and I failed. I hated it. I tried Forex and I lost a bunch of money. I just failed over and over and over again and over and over and over. And so many times I failed and lost so much money until eventually I bought a course of copywriting, and the person who created it said, you would be really cool if you talked to this guy. I talked to him, and that guy turned out to be my millionaire mentor, Ted Carr, who then gave me a job this January 1st of this year. And we went on to raise over, I think it was like $850,000 this year through the business that he had created. And from that, I've created my own six-figure agency and finally started finding some success, and enough success that I've been able to bring other young men into this younger than me and show them how I did it so that they could find success as well. So in short, I failed so many times until something kind of worked, and then I went in on that.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for sharing that. When I look at a lot of your Instagram posts, you have a lot of encouraging messages. Like almost everything that you post has so much encouragement behind it, and it's real. It's stuff that you say about, and you really kind of pointed out there about failing, and it seems like you have another gift in encouragement, man. Do you see it that way? Do you see that does that bring you joy?
There's nothing more fulfilling than inspiring other people. For me, that's my mission in life. When I was at the Thumos retreat, which was absolutely mind-boggling, I've discovered that my mission, and it was this way since I was a very young kid, I want to help other people manifest their dreams into reality. And so to do that, I need to be extremely successful so I can show people, look, it's possible. I was a loser and now I'm a winner. You can do it too. So that's what fuels everything, to be honest, is I want to help people.
Yeah, that's cool. And hey, since you mentioned Thumos, I know you recently went on a Thumos weekend experience. If you could sum it up in just a couple of sentences, how would you describe it?
It was transformative for me. It was absolutely necessary. It was unburdening. It was everything. I mean, I needed that. I needed that, and I'm so grateful that Jody and everybody there allowed me to experience it, and I'm so grateful that God put that in front of me, because it was exactly what I needed, and I honestly needed it a long time ago. I'm just grateful I found it now.
Wow. So, what's if we kind of go back to what you're doing now on social media, you're using a lot of what we have for social media to get your points across. I know, I think for some adults, it's, we're still tied to old things like Facebook. I mean, some people might even still be on MySpace, you never know. But I guess, how do you see, I just want to kind of get into your head, how do you see social media in the power of it in what you're trying to accomplish? Especially not only today, but like going forward.
Social media is everything. And I really want people to understand that, because once you have over 100,000 followers on social media, you can work for yourself for the rest of your life. You've made it. That is now, and honestly, you can have much less, because if you create your own business, all you need is enough people who are loyal to you and enjoy what you post, and then 10% of them are going to want to buy whatever you have to offer because you're giving out free information. So your content will then lead to conversations with real people who really love you, who really want to learn from you. And those conversations will lead into conversions, which will pay you, feed your family, and allow you to continue building your business and helping the world. I believe that content is the most important thing to be doing in 2024. And if you're not doing it and you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to be financially free, then you have your priorities messed up.
Can you explain a little bit about what you mean by content?
Yes. Putting your beacon out into the world. You might be the coolest person in the planet, right? But until you post, then your beacon has not been sent out. What happens as soon as you take a video of yourself just chatting, just saying, this is what I did today, this is what's been going through my mind. Once you do that, the algorithm is going to start putting you in front of people that might like your content. And when you continue to do that and just talk about yourself and be authentic, then people are going to start seeing you and go, I like his face, I like his clothes, I like the words he's saying, I like his attitude. And you're going to start snowballing and creating a tribe, because your vibe attracts your tribe. And now you're going to have a tribe of like-minded individuals that you can leverage however you so choose. But it takes a village to do anything, so you need to start building your village now.
Do you find that there's a lot of parallels with your outlet of social media and music?
Absolutely. It's all, I don't mean to use this word, I don't mean to misuse this word, but it's prophetic. We all need to be leaders. If we are capable of being leaders, then we need to do so. And so music allows people to find messages that they resonate with and then follow and be a part of something. And being a content creator allows you to speak your message, and then people can find the message that they resonate with and follow something and grow and network within that. So yes, music and content creation is absolutely a parallel. It's a great thing to point out.
Man, that's cool. I was just talking to my niece, I guess this past week, told her that we were going to be talking to you on the podcast, and she wanted me to ask you, do you have a girlfriend?
That's a great question. I do have a girlfriend. Yesterday was our 5-year anniversary, and I would not be here if it was not for her. She is absolutely essential for the success of everything that I do.
How so?
She gives me the support that I need by making space, taking away the things that used to take up my time so that I can completely focus and embrace and feel every feeling that I need to feel, think every thought that I need to think, and make every move that I need to make without putting pressure on me and saying, oh, we need to do this, oh, we need to do that. She says, I understand, this is your mission, let's make it happen. And because she does that for me, I am able to heal myself because I can feel the feelings I need to feel. I am able to think our future through because I have the space to think the thoughts that I need to think, and I have the ability to buy beautiful things because I am able to make the moves that I want to make. So now we both win. It's a beautiful thing.
Man, it sounds like she's got the same introspection that you have and the depth that you talk about. I can see why you wrote poems, man. You have a way of articulating your thoughts and the depth that you talk with. It's pretty inspiring, man. So like all this, everything that you're talking about, creating space, how, I mean, and I think you try to send this message out in your Instagram post, but what would you recommend people to do? That it sounds like this comes natural to you, and I know it doesn't. You have to work at it and you have to create that space. But what would you recommend to people out there that are not able to find that space? They're consumed with all the things that are probably lower priority stuff that's just noise. How do you start to take that first step and get that out of there to create the space that you need to be the better you?
Oh man, that is such a incredible and important question. And just to go deeper into it, to make it harder for myself, most people are in an environment that is against them. Like, you put a bunch of crabs in a bucket and one starts to climb out, they're all going to pull each other, then pull that guy at the top right back down. So the odds are against you. I'll say this straight out. Yo, whoever is listening and wants to make a change, the odds are against you. Okay? But it is possible. I would recommend starting to consume content from people who are in the situation that you want to be in. So for me, I want to be an entrepreneur, so I listen to Alex Hormozi. So I listen to Myron Golden. I want to be a better man, so I listen to Jody Lucatino, right? I listen to the Thumos guys. I want to be a better runner, so I listen to, like, figure out the people that you want to emulate and put in your headphones and listen to what they have to say and do your best to start implementing the things that they say, and you will find incremental increases, and that will increase your willpower to keep pushing, and then you can slowly pull yourself up, and soon you'll be able to pull other people up.
How you mentioned running. How important is exercise to you?
Oh, it's everything. If you want to make money, the first thing that I tell people is go get in shape.
I love it, man. Why? Why do you say that?
Because once you have your body in shape, honestly, I would say go get your heart straight. I put everything in a pyramid, right? At the very bottom is your heart. Okay, when people want to learn about business, I say this is the pyramid of being a successful business owner. The very bottom is your heart. You need to clear all your chakras, clear all your trauma, clear everything that's causing you to be a toxic human being, because toxic people are not on the frequency of abundance. You need to clear your heart so that your heart is in a gratitude frequency, so that you can be open to receiving. Now that your heart is clear, now we dig into the head. Now the head, if you're in great shape, your self-talk is going to be awesome. You're going to look at a mirror and go, I'm freaking shredded, I'm sexy. Your head is going, so now you're confident. Now you're presenting that to the world. That's going to pay off so much more than the how. Now, once you've got the heart and your head set, now you can go into the hands. This is your skills of, like, okay, what are you good at? Go ask your significant other or one of your friends, what am I good at, right? If they say you're not good at anything, they're probably bad friends. You've got good friends that'll tell you, you're really good at speaking, you're really good at working out. And then you can look into the how of, okay, I just realized that I'm really good at working out. So now I'm going to figure out the how to use my skills of working out to make money. That now you can do it because you've got everything else in line. So you got to get your heart straight, and then you got to get your fitness. So I misspoke, heart and then your fitness. Fitness is the second most important thing.
And where do you think, so I think there's, a lot of controversial views around formal education today, and obviously you have found a way. And I'm just thinking, if somebody is, say they're in college or they're trying to get through on a certain path, and maybe they're not very passionate about it, and they feel like they have to follow that path. What are your thoughts around people kind of spending that time, that 4 years in college, and then going off and just kind of sort of following the path that they graduated in, if they're not passionate about it?
Yeah, man. I'll preface this by saying I left college first year, failed miserably, but I got so much life skills by being in an environment of a bunch of kids and learning how to survive living there. That was a great experience in that 1 year that I did spend in college. It wasn't for the education, it was for the life skills. I'll say that if you're going to college, the one thing that you're going to get is those life skills if you do stay on campus. That's super freaking cool. What I'll also say is, if you're not going to be a doctor, if you're not going to do something that you actually need a doctorate, that you need a license for, I would be very hesitant to put tens of thousands of dollars into that, so that you can spend 4 years of your life, which is honestly worth more than the tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars, to do something that you're not positive you want to do. I would say try and work out a way that you can get some money and invest into some courses and start trying a bunch of different things and seeing if that works. And if that really fails horribly, then maybe go to college. But I mean, if you're looking to go to college to secure a solid job, you're not going to do that unless you're going to be a doctor, because $80,000 a year is not going to be cutting it in 5 years. So you should probably just focus on, what do you actually enjoy doing? How can you do that in a most profitable economy as possible? And most of the time it's leverage your audience, get people to follow you, get really good at the thing that you like to do, and then teach other people how to do it.
It's so interesting because things have rapidly changed so drastically over the last, I don't know, 25, 30, 40 years that the whole landscape has changed, and yet the educational system really is sort of the same. And so just thinking about that, it's good to hear your perspective on that because at this point, a 16-year-old has to decide what they want to do with their life so early on, right? And make all those decisions, and then go to college if they want to go to college, if that's the route that they want to take. It's just a lot. It's a lot to put on their shoulders at such an early age. Whereas, if you have a gift or you have passion that you can just kind of follow, seems like a really nice opportunity there.
Yeah, I got really lucky because I knew what I wanted to do from a very young age. So I could just follow that and see where that led. There are people that don't know. We already know. I mean, it's pretty blatant that the current curriculum for public schools is set up to just create you into a worker bee, which doesn't actually allow you to make monumental shifts and find generational wealth. So I want people to be very hesitant upon that. And what's cool is there's a huge shift from our generation of, okay, we can't change the public school curriculum. We're not even going to try that. We're going to take over the online educational space and allow people to learn freely the information necessary to find success in whatever niche they so choose. And you can learn firsthand from people doing exactly what you want to do. So like, let's say you wanted to learn how to be a roofer and run a roofing business. You can now go onto a platform like School and look up roofing and find somebody who's doing $1 million a month with their roofing business and get on a one-on-one call with them and learn how they did it, and then just skip all the BS business school courses and garbage from people who aren't actually doing what you're learning about. You can actually learn straight from the horse's mouth, and that's the coolest thing ever. Getting rid of the middleman and just going, I want to learn this. Who's the best in the space? Let me buy his program and just learn from him. Isn't that dope?
That is just insane because on a smaller scale, if I need to fix anything around my house, I can go to YouTube and there's somebody that's got the exact thing that I need to fix, and I could look at it and follow it, and I can do it.
That's the free market, brother. Yeah, that's incredible.
Right. I mean, we didn't have that back. I mean, can you imagine them having that back in 1600? I mean, you just had to work on the specialties. So that's so incredible. Let me ask you this: the mission. You mentioned mission a few times in the call today, and what is your mission?
I'm still working on it, right? I've only been to one through most weekends, so give me some time. But it is, I manifest love by helping others turn their dreams into reality. Or I am love, right? Because that's Jody's like, oh, you are love. I am love, or I love by helping others manifest their dreams into reality. I want to find people that want to change and say, all right, let's figure it out. Let's make it happen, because I bet it's going to be dope.
Man, that's good.
What's yours?
What about, what is, when you think about life, what do you think the purpose of life is?
Oh, that's a good one. I do believe, I mean, the purpose of life, one word, is love. Easy as that. I also believe that we come up with lessons that we need to learn before we come down into this planet. And everybody has lessons that they need to learn before they can fly back out to wherever we came from. So I think it's just learning lessons and loving as much as possible.
And when you use the term love, can you describe that? What does that mean?
Yeah, it's unconditional love. It's having understanding for others. It's not being judgmental and holding grudges. It is understanding that everybody is going through the same experience as you, and it's not easy. So do what you can to help as many people as possible. Do your best. Work as hard as you can, and by work I don't mean slave away at a job that doesn't pay you properly for your time. I mean do the best that you can to make the best reality that you can out of the finite amount of time that we have, and spread as much positivity as possible while doing so.
Excellent. And what advice are you currently your latest post in Instagram? What kind of advice are you giving to people?
Just keep going. You can't lose if you don't stop. That's kind of my mindset after every failure. I'm like, well, it doesn't. I'm not currently I'm technically not a failure if I just keep going. As soon as you stop, then there's no potential for you to succeed. But if you're still moving forward, even if you slip and break your leg, if you keep walking, there's still a potential to finish the race. Even if you come in last, there's still the potential. But if you just don't get up, then you will never finish that race, and that's gonna haunt you forever. So you might as well just do it now.
Excellent. And where can people find you, Benny?
Yeah, just search up Benny D Lowkey on any social media platform. I'm there. If you want to chat, I'll chat. I've got time. Send me a voice message. Send me a text. I'm here to help.
Excellent, man. Well, hey, with that, I know you got things to do, so we'll wrap it up. I want to thank everybody for listening today. If you like what you've heard, please remember to follow, share, give us a strong review. If you're a man searching for improvement and growth, be sure to check out strongdadscommunity.com or check us out on social media as well. Benny, it has been a real pleasure, man. Thank you for giving us your time. And, man, I hope we can connect on future podcasts as you get into different avenues and assets and share with us what you're doing in your entrepreneurial ventures.
Yeah, I really look forward to it. You guys are going to have a lot of trouble getting rid of me. Once I've been to this first weekend, I'm not going anywhere. You can't shake me. And I'll say to anybody listening, if you haven't been to a weekend or if you're not part of this group, you need to get involved immediately. Words can't describe how transformative it is. And this is from a stubborn person that is pretty critical of how I spend my money and how I spend my time. This was 100% worth it for me and 100% necessary. So reach out to their team and get involved immediately. Thanks, brother.
Thank you, brother. All right, brother. That's it. We're out.
We're out. Peace. Dope.
Man, that was great, dude. You were, dude, you just, it's like you rolled, that shit just rolls off your tongue. Fantastic, man. Golly, that was great.
We were flowing, man. That was really, really fun. You asked the best questions.
Dude, you were like, every question I asked, I'm like, dude, I'm going to ask him something like, and this is going to be a tough one. You just start, like, it's almost like you step back, you let yourself process, and then bam, you pop on that gas pedal, dude, and you just roll. Like you, oh my gosh, when you said